Shalom, this is Truth is Everlasting, Lion's Den. I am Yahweh Sab. I camp out with Lion Den, Hawan Ben Yashua in Jacksonville, Florida. But first I have to give a prayer to the Father, to the Son, to the elders, to the Akims, and to the women and children. Ka Halayim La Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Ha Rokah Kodash Mahama, in the name of Yahweh Shai, in spirit and holy and in truth. Double honors to the 144,000 chosen elect. Double honors to the elders of GMS. Double honors to my elder Hawam. Salutations to the Yakins who are on the four corners of the earth. And to the women and children, Shalom. Okay, well, this popped up on the phone, this video. I'm not going to read what's in front of me. I'm going to just open it like this so you can see it for yourselves, right? And it's going to be a hydration, meaning I'm going to keep it short. Okay, the title of this lesson, Let All My Enemies Be Ashamed. I'll play a little bit of it, and then we go into scripture. Here we go.
She didn't say Melania's name, but one question from Jasmine Crockett shook the entire White House and exposed the double standard America's been ignoring for decades. It started with the usual noise of a Capitol Hill hearing, papers shuffling, tired voices, political theater. But when Representative Jasmine Crockett leaned into her microphone that Thursday morning, the air in room 2141 of the Rayburn House office building changed. The topic was immigration reform again. Most of it had been dry, Republicans talking about law and order, Democrats pushing for family protections. Cameras panned across yawning interns and stone-faced committee members. But Crockett wasn't here to play nice. She adjusted her blazer, stared straight ahead, and spoke slowly. If we're going to deport undocumented spouses for breaking visa rules, she paused, then dropped it. Do we start with the First Lady? Silence. Not the kind that's polite. The kind that feels like someone just knocked over the table. 3 seats to her left, Representative Glenn Bradbury blinked hard, lips parted like he couldn't believe she'd actually said it. On the Republican side, murmurs bubbled into a quiet rustle, papers being picked up, a hand covering a cough that might have been a laugh. C-SPAN's closed captioning feed caught up 5 seconds later. Phones vibrated in the audience rows. A staffer from Nebraska looked up from her laptop with wide eyes and mouthed, "Did she just say Melania?" Crockett didn't repeat it. She didn't need to. She sipped water, looked down at her notes, and let the moment linger. Representative Paul Gentry, chairing the session, cleared his throat like he'd swallowed a pebble. "Let's keep the discussion respectful," he muttered, half to Crockett, half to the cameras. But it was too late. The cameras had it. The internet had it. In the back row, a freelance journalist named Lex Torres was already tweeting. He didn't quote her directly. He didn't have to. He just wrote, "Crockett just threw a grenade in the room. Had to deport your migrant wife." It took 13 minutes for that hashtag to start trending. Less than 2 hours for it to hit national headlines. But inside the room, the aftermath was quieter. Gentry tried to move on, called on another representative from Arizona. But even he was thrown off, stumbling through his statement on visa quotas. Jasmine Crockett didn't smile. She wasn't gloating. If anything, she looked tired, but focused. She'd planned that line, probably rehearsed it in front of the mirror, knowing exactly what it would do. Representative Molly Kincaid, a Democrat from Oregon, leaned over to her and whispered, "That's going to explode." Crockett gave a dry reply without turning her head. "Good." Across the aisle, Bradbury scribbled something onto a notepad, ripped the page out, and handed it to his aide. Moments later, a Republican staffer slipped out the side door with his phone already at his ear. Because if Crockett had crossed a line, the party needed to decide quickly. Was it worth responding? Or would that just draw more attention to the thing nobody wanted to talk about? Nobody. Until now. Outside the building, reporters were already crowding the steps. Lex Torres was on a live stream. "She didn't name names," he said, "but we all know who she meant. And look, we've all seen the reports about Melania's visa issues. Nobody brings it up because, well," he shrugged. "Now they will." Inside,
Okay, let me stop it right there. Let me see, this is something I'm just learned. Let me see if I can open this. Give me a minute, Slakia. Here we go. Oh, what happened? Right here. There we go. Okay. The Einstein visa, officially known as the EB-1A visa, is an employment-based immigration visa for individuals who possess extraordinary abilities in their field. It is a pathway for highly skilled individuals to obtain a green card, permanent residence in the United States. Let's see what else it says. To qualify, individuals must demonstrate sustained national or international acclaim in their field, which could be science, art, education, business, or athletic. Okay? So, going back to the lesson, that's a lot of our people, so-called Negros, Latino, Negro, and speckled birds, who built this world, right? TV, telephone, right? Light, refrigerator, stop signs. I mean, I can keep going on, okay? But anyway, that's what a Einstein visa is that some people get, right? And I guess they're trying to say, they're saying allegedly that she has one, right? So I want to go to scripture and start with Psalm chapter 6, verse 10. Let all my enemies be ashamed and sore vexed. Let them return and be ashamed suddenly. And that is happening a lot to the Edomites, not only here, but in everything that they have been doing, right? The whole world is seeing the evil wickedness of the Edomites, how they treating the so-called Negros, Latino, Negros, and speckled birds, right? God's chosen people. Psalm 35, give me a minute, chapter 35, verse 4. Let them be confounded and put to shame that seek after my soul. Let them be turned back and brought to confusion that devise my hurt. Yeah, because, that's what they, Edomite's main objective really is. Okay? I want to jump to verse 26. Let them be ashamed and brought to confusion together that rejoice at my hurt. Let them be clothed with shame and dishonor that magnify themselves against me. Right? I mean, look what they've done to the air. They polluted the air, the water, the food, the land, the money, the clothes. Right? I mean, they have done so much wicked. And when you really look at it, they don't want to let go of the power, right, that they have. They don't want to let go of the blessing that was given to Cain, right? And that same spirit was passed on, right, to the Edomites now. And the technology that they have now it was given to them by Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. Now they think they can rule the world and that they can defeat, right, and destroy Yahweh Shai when he comes back with the host of angels. Crazy, but that's what bottom line is, right? That's how come they want to turn everyone into cyborgs so you can go and fight while they, might go hide in their bunkers, right? I want to go to Psalm chapter 40, verse 14. Let them be ashamed and confounded together that seek after my soul to destroy it. Let them be driven backwards and put to shame that wish me evil. Right? Now, don't get me wrong. Some of us are going to be beheaded. Some of us are going to be thrown into FEMA camp. Okay? But anything that they do to us, it only goes against them, right? So that's the beauty. I'm going to leave it with Isaiah chapter 41, verse 11. Keeping it short so I can pray a little bit more. Behold, all they that were incensed, right? Very angry, enraged against thee shall be ashamed and confounded. Woo. They shall be as nothing, and they that strive with thee shall perish. Yeah, because even though that, pretended, Edomite, those that pretended are our friends, no. They're only hiding their true evil wickedness. Let me put a little bit more before I close it. Here we go.
He shrugged. Now they will. Inside, the hearing limped on, but the atmosphere had changed. Words hit different. Even the dry policy stuff sounded sharper, like everyone knew something big had just been dropped, but nobody was allowed to say it out loud again. Jasmine left the room 10 minutes later, walking straight down the corridor with her team. She wasn't answering questions, at least not yet, but she didn't look rattled. She looked like someone who had finally said the thing everybody else had tiptoed around for years. But while she walked calmly out of that hearing room, chaos was already starting to build inside the West Wing.
If you're forgetting
Well,
simple
Slovakia
things
about
and
that. I don't
mixing up
control
names,
YouTube,
you
man.
need to know the elephant tree.
Slovakia.
It brought my memory back.
To build inside the West Wing. The hearing had ended less than an hour ago when the storm hit the West Wing. Inside the private dining room off the Oval Office, Donald Trump stood behind a chair, gripping the top of it so hard his knuckles turned pale. The flat screen mounted on the wall replayed Jasmine Crockett's now viral moment on a loop, the closed captioning bold and slow. Do we start with the First Lady? Trump didn't blink. He didn't sit. He didn't even yell at first. He just stared at the screen like it had personally insulted him. Hope Daniels, one of his senior advisors, stepped forward. We're drafting a press response. Just a quick, don't write anything, he snapped, eyes still locked on the screen. This woman just said my wife should be deported. She said that, in front of the world. Daniels froze. The room was packed. Chief of Staff Vic Marino, Press Secretary Carla McNair, Communications Deputy Rudy Finch, and a legal advisor nobody even knew by name. Everyone looked around like they were waiting for someone else to jump in. Trump finally turned around. Where the hell was Paul Gentry? He should have shut that down. Where is he? He tried, sir, McNair said. He called for order. Trump raised his voice. Not order. He should have kicked her out. Suspended her. Something. They'd suspend a Republican for saying something like that. There was a pause. Nobody wanted to remind him that Crockett hadn't actually named Melania. Not out loud. That kind of correction could cost a job. She said First Lady, Trump growled, answering his own thought. She meant Melania. She didn't have to say her name. Everyone knows.
Okay, that woman, Crockett, Jake, she's been touched by the spirit without knowing that probably Yahweh Bashin Yashar is calling her, right? I think she's used to be a lawyer or is a lawyer. I want to leave it with Job chapter 8, verse 22. They that hate thee shall be clothed with shame, and the dwelling place of the wicked shall come to naught. Yeah, that's a come they're moving fast and swiftly because their end is getting closer. How close, we don't know, but it's getting closer. I hope that this was edifying, and with that I say, Shalom.